Not too long ago on the channel, we covered off a version of Evil Eye that was built specifically for an ongoing festival at the time. Now here we have a different version of the deck built for Ranked, and this is the deck that we played in Ranked. We were playing it in Diamond 3, it actually got us promoted to Diamond 2, so there's definitely something here. This deck is definitely very, very solid. Now, it does differ from its festival counterpart in a number of ways. Of course, the array of different support cards we have access to is now greatly expanded, so we're able to play more typical staple cards such as Max C, Ash Blossom, Call By, and Crossout are also both very helpful to stop yourself from getting hit by Ash Blossom. You actually don't really care about Max C in this deck because you're primarily just normal summoning Surzeal, and we're going to exemplify that by adding another win condition to the deck in the form of Kaiser Coliseum. Now this is a little bit of a toxic card, I'm not going to lie to you. But it is definitely very effective. So basically, so long as you have one or more monster in your field and you have Kaiser Coliseum there, your opponent cannot make a play that will result in them having more monsters than you. So basically, it's like Summon Limit, except better, in my opinion. This card's pretty awesome. So basically, if you only have one monster in your field, which you will, that's the whole point of this deck, that the Kaiser Coliseum will lock your opponent to also only having one monster on their field. So we're gonna go through a full deck profile at the end. Most of it's very similar to what we were playing before. The only one change I would like to make is probably dropping Medusa for another Basilius. Basilius being a one-card combo is pretty damn nuts. We're gonna cover off that combo in game 1, even if it doesn't go fully according to plan. But this deck is absolutely a ton of fun. It is surprisingly effective, even in Ranked at the higher sort of tiers, which is really, really good. I really enjoyed playing it. So without further ado, we're going to get into some gameplay here. If you're new to the channel and you sort of haven't subscribed already, I would urge you to do so. Again, it doesn't cost you anything, and we put out content every single day. So if you're interested in anything that we do here, you might as well subscribe, right? And like the video if you enjoy watching. Let's get into game 1. Alrighty, getting into game 1 here. This is going to be a demonstration of the Basilius play. Now, it doesn't go fully according to plan here, but just bear with me here. We're going to go Basilius here. Basilius sends Gorgiano from the deck to the graveyard. It activates, banishes itself, discarding another Evil Eye to search for Evil Eyes Unleashed. Now, here, if you haven't used your normal summon, you can instead search for the field spell and use the field spell to search for Surzeal and then normal summon Surzeal, but, you know, it is what it is. We just have to do this instead because we've already normal summoned. So our plan here, what you do is you can use this to set up a Gorgon, a Gorgon equipped with Selene, which is pretty damn powerful. It's a monster negate. It's got the towers effects. Plus you'll have a bunch of hand traps backing it up. That's the idea. So we're gonna grab Selene here from the deck. Then we can activate the Cat and Grave. Normally this summons itself to the field, and then you go off into your Gorgon and bang, bang, bang. That's your full combo. They go Max C here. We're going to hit them with the Ash Blossom on the Max C, but he's going to go for Saronir, still interrupting our play. I still wanted to show it off because it is something that can come up, and it's part of the reason I like Basilius so much. But on this occasion, it just didn't work out. We're going to set 2. Our opponent actually goes for Hoppier Squadron, so we're going to chain the Max C. I kind of regret not using it earlier in the turn. We missed out on draw 1, but you know what? It is what it is. We had no evidence to believe he was going to be doing anything like that. He's gonna go into the Chaos Ruler during our main phase for some reason, but fair enough. You do you, Chief. Saronir gonna mill a Bestial Spell or Trap card, gonna send Lubellion to the graveyard before checking the top 5 of the deck. He's playing some sort of Synchron Sprite deck, which we have actually seen in the past and is pretty effective. So you know what? It is what it is. Fair enough. But we draw in the Kaiser Coliseum and the Evil Eye of Selene off of the draw 2, which is pretty amazing. I couldn't have possibly asked for 2 better cards. Sorry, we draw in the Evil Eyes Unleashed and the Kaiser Coliseum, but we already had Selene. Now this looks really, really fragile. This board state looks awful, right? But what is actually happening here? So right now we have Basilius, 400 attack points, pathetic. I get it. But Basilius currently is untargetable and indestructible, which is going to make it significantly more difficult for our opponent to get past it. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, well, why doesn't our opponent just summon a bunch of monsters out and just beat over it for lethal? Well, they can't. They've got Kaiser Coliseum. Kaiser Coliseum stops him from putting more monsters onto his field than I have on mine. I've only got 1. He's already got 1. He can't summon any more monsters. And because of that, our opponent actually, they sat and they fought here. There's the scoop, right? In reality, during that duel, he sat and he thought about that. It must have been for like 2 minutes straight. He was just looking at his hand, wondering why game brokey. and he just couldn't figure it out, and then he eventually surrendered. So there you go. That's the idea of the deck. Ideally, that would have been a Gorgon if we weren't interrupted by the Bestial Saronir. We would have had Gorgon, who not only would have been significantly bigger than 400 attack point, right? It also would have had a quick play monster negate, and they still would have been under the Kaiser Colosseum. So it is what it is. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. On this occasion, the Kaiser Colosseum by itself was enough for our opponent to rethink their life choices. So I'll take an easy dub any day, every day. Let's get in the game too. Alright, getting into game 2 here, a much more traditional hand where we actually have cards, right? So we're going to normal summon Surzeal. It's a little unfortunate we have Cat here, but we'll make it work. Going to pitch 2 to Grave to grab another copy of Celine here. Now, using the Gorgiano that we sent to the grave, we're going to banish it, pitch the Cat to the grave. We're going to search our deck for Retribution. So the Cat going to the grave, like I said, was a good thing. We're going to send another copy of Unleashed to the grave because it's got an effect in grave. We've already searched for all of our equip spells. We might as well just pitch it. But the main reason is now we can use Cat in the graveyard to summon itself out. We're going to now Exceed Summon into Stone King Darius, who has seen this play before. Machinix, just like in the festival. We're going to set 2, we're going to set 1, activate our equip spells onto our Surzeal, and then we're going to set our call by and pass. So that means our Surzeal is not only going to be huge as we continue to activate our cards, we've also got a spell trap negate, we've got call by the grave, as well as 2 monster steals off of our Divisor King Machinix. And again, I don't believe our opponent sticks around for very long. They're going to go Harpy's Feather Duster here. We are unfortunately forced to use our Retribution early, stopping the Feather Duster. I actually remember this game happened on a Discord call with the Discord in the sort of in our server below. They're gonna go for Lithosagem. Lithosagem playing actual like Earth attribute Adamanticators, destroying the Shell Knight just like in the anime. God damn, he's gonna pitch 3 cards of our extra deck away. We don't care about that. And his Shell Knight now gonna activate in the graveyard. Will basically, well, it's gonna do nothing, right? We're gonna negate it. So that card is going to do absolutely nothing. We could even use Surzeal to pop the Lithosagem if we wanted to. But there's not, I guess we do actually go for it. We might as well to get additional damage here. That's going to trigger Celine to boost ourselves even more, up to 4,600. Drawing into the Ash Blossom, that's not terrible. We are forced to destroy our Gorgiano because of our Surzeal's effect, but we will continue to get bigger and bigger. He's playing that goddamn fossil face down that destroys our Divisor King Machinix, but our Surzeal is indestructible. It will be staying around. Cat's going to summon itself to the field here alongside our Basildris. We're going to use these 2 to go into number 3 Sekira King, which is a card that we couldn't play during the festival and is essentially a monster negate. To guarantee that we can negate any card that he draws, he goes for Nemesis Keystone here. We actually let that resolve because what the hell is it going to do? I don't know what our opponent was expecting to happen there, but they just surrender soon after. So there you go, showing off a little bit of the versatility, some of the new cards, but showing that the win condition remains the same. Surzeal, Prophet, win. Easy dubs. Let's get into the next game. Alrighty, getting into game 3 here. We are going second, and we don't have any of our board breakers. Now that is not looking good. It is actually a mirror match. Okay, grabbing the Royal Rare Evil Eye of Celine. I know I'm in for a rough time here because this deck does a lot better going first than it does going second. Let's see if we can actually pull this out here though. They're going to grab their Domain activating, going to search their deck for Surzeal. Glossy Surzeal, Royal Celine. This guy obviously is a much harder Evil Eye gamer than I am. He's going to go for Celine here onto the Surzeal, setting 2 and passing. Of course, one of those being the Retribution. So we're left with a few options here. Call by the Grave is a fine card, but not super handy in this circumstance. They've got Ghost Ogre. Who plays Ghost Ogre? We're forced to use Call by the Grave here on the Ghost Ogre, but he's not going to allow our Surzeal to resolve nonetheless. He is going to go for Infinite Impermanence to negate us anyways. Mans was ready for the mirror match with the Ghost Ogre there. God damn. He was not playing around. Luckily for us, we don't really need Surzeal to resolve here because we already have the spell cards we need in hand. So we're going to go for Evil Eye of Celine here, equipping it onto our monster. Now we're going to go for Evil Eyes Unleashed. We're going to pitch 2 cards to the graveyard. That is, of course, going to get negated, but that is just fine. We have all of our equipped spells already in play, so we really don't care about that. Nonetheless, our opponent's going to summon out Basilitrus from the graveyard. Our monster's going to get negated. Our spell card, sorry, is going to get negated, but that's fine. Celine boosts us up by 500. Gorgiano now going to activate here, getting hit with Evil Eye Retribution, stopping us from gaining the additional attack points. That is fair. Gorgiano going to the graveyard, Selene then boosting up his monster to 2100 as well. We're going to go in the battle phase, forcing the Basilitrus here so we can go into Zerziel. Zerziel then, of course, being equipped on with an equipped spell thanks to the Evil Eyes Unleashed in the graveyard, grabbing the Royal Selene. We're going to grab Gorgiano in the graveyard, using its effect, dropping our Medusa. We're going to grab the field spell. Using the field spell, we're going to search our deck for a monster, but he is not going to allow that. He's going to go for the pop right this second, and he's going to destroy our field spell before we can get searching. That will, however, trigger off both copies of Evil Eye Selene, as well as, of course, the Evil Eye Domain that was just destroyed, in order to facilitate the return of one of our cards back to hand. So we do grab back Medusa. So it's looking like a bit of an interesting matchup here, but we are definitely at a disadvantage as this Zerziel continues to grow more and more powerful. Pot of Extravagance activating here, going to banish 6, draw 2 into the battlefield. Is going to do 1000 damage over our Zerziel here, and then they're going to set one and end their turn. They know they've got the advantage and they're willing to press it, so we're going to need to see what we can make happen here. We're going to start with Medusa on normal summon. We're going to grab back the equip spell from the graveyard, activating the field spell. Field spell gets hit with an Ash Blossom this time, not using the Zerziel to pop. Fair enough. Ash Blossom then going to negate our field spell. It doesn't really leave us with a ton of options here. We are going to boost up a little bit, but he is going to destroy our Selene with his Zerziel. Now our Selene is gone, leaving our Zerziel vulnerable to his. And vulnerable it is indeed. Vulnerable means it's going to get popped right this second by his monster. He's going to boost even higher thanks to the Evil Eye Selene, activating twice in one chain, paying 1000 life points to boost his monster by 1000 attack points, all the way up to 5100 into the battle phase. 37 over Medusa. Main phase 2, end phase, we're gonna really need to draw a miracle, but there's nothing really we could possibly draw that would win us this game. Least of all, Evil Eye Awakening. That is not the card we need to see, but we're gonna activate it nonetheless and get hit with Max C. This man has every possible counter to any card that we draw. He is simply on another level. So if nothing else, learn from this guy. There he goes. He just top decks into the Baldric like an absolute gamer. And you know what? At that point, I had had enough. I surrendered. That guy absolutely crushed me in the mirror match. If you're going to learn how to play Evil Eye, there you go. There's two perspectives on it. He went first. Fair enough. You know, sometimes it's just like that. This deck really does like going first a lot more than it likes going second. We were able to play through a couple of interruptions, but ultimately his board state simply exceeded ours. It is what it is. He won the ground game. Hands up, he wins. Let's get into the deck profile. Evil Eye. So this deck is... it's very fun. I really do like this deck. It's a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be. Initially, I saw a couple of people review this deck, and they were like, this deck's ass. It's a gimmick. It's blah, blah, blah. So I was expecting to pick it up and be bemused and underwhelmed and sort of just leave it at that and just move on. However, I genuinely have enjoyed playing this deck. It's actually been a blast, and it's a lot stronger than a lot of people let on to be. I was pleasantly surprised, and that doesn't happen very often. Usually I overhype a deck for myself and then it disappoints. No, this time I went in with low expectations and came out pleasantly surprised. It was better than I thought it was going to be. Is it top tier? No, it's not. It can lose fairly easy to more than a couple of hand traps. If it's 2 or more negates, usually shuts this deck down. It really struggles going second, which is why we're playing all these copies of Imperm and Evenly Matched. And in other versions of the deck, we even play Super Poly and such. But in this version, we're relying on a more heavily built going first version to take advantage of what we're good at, right? If your deck is not a jack of all trades, sometimes you need to just accept that and focus on what it's good at rather than trying to make it just kind of good at everything, right? If you've got a deck that's just kind of good at everything, it's going to lose every time to one deck that's really good at one thing unless it draws the exact out. So what we're going to do is, instead of making it this jack of all trades, we're going to make it the master of one. And what that one is going to be total control going first. So let's talk about flex spots first of all. We've got triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, we've got double Called By, we've got Crossout Designator, triple Evenly Matched, and triple Infinite Impermanence. You could argue Medusa is a flex spot. She never came up in any useful capacity. I was not impressed with this card at all in any capacity. It does have a neat effect that is sometimes useful in certain matchups. Like, I would like to have Medusa on my field against the likes of Tearlewins. That's about it. So she's in the deck list, I was playing her. She's kind of neat against tier elements, but that's literally the height of it. So you've got 15 spots there. Go nuts. Play whatever you want. If you don't want to play Kaiser Coliseum, don't play Kaiser Coliseum. The idea behind this version of the deck though was Kaiser Coliseum, so I'm gonna leave it in as core for this deck profile. But if you don't want to play it, don't play it. Just play something else. Play Super Poly, right? Let's talk about the cards. Now, we have briefly covered off most of this deck before, so I'm not going to spend too long talking about each of the individual cards, but we are going to talk about them nonetheless. So we've got, of course, the two primary Evil Eye monsters. We have Surziel and Medusa. So Surziel, when normal summon, you'll grab an Evil Eye card from your deck to your hand. Medusa, when normal summon, will grab an Evil Eye card from graveyard to hand. Right? So we're going to draw these parallels. While each monster is equipped with the Evil Eye of Selene, which is this card here, so they both have an effect that activates a quick effect that they can use while equipped with this card. Surziel will pop a special summon monster, but during the next standby phase will destroy one of your cards. Medusa will quick play, remove a card from your opponent's graveyard and banish it, and then during the next standby phase, banish a card from your graveyard. So they're sort of mirrors of one another. Surziel is undoubtedly better, right? A million times better, because of its normal summon effect more than anything else, but both cards are neat. We've got the Familiars then. So the Familiars are a group of level 3 monsters that exist to accompany the primary Evil Eye monsters. Basiltris being one of the new ones. This card can quick play special summon itself from the hand or graveyard so long as you control another Evil Eye monster. And during your opponent's turn, you can quick play Link Summon into an Evil Eye monster using monsters or Evil Eye equip spells that you control, which means you can use your Gorgiano or your Selene as a monster for a Link Summon into one of your two Evil Eyes. So Basiltris is definitely very, very good. Again, the quick play summon gives you tons of versatility with it. Sometimes it's useful for its quick link effect, of course, but other times it's useful because it's a level 3 that special summons itself. You know? You just sort of take advantage of how versatile it is. We've got a Basilius. The Basilius, I love this card. I 100% play this at 3. This card, you have a lot of hands and cards and things in this deck that will brick, that are not very good going first, and you will need to sort of change up your game plan on occasion. Basilius is one of the cards that allows you to do that, that allows you to play through having a bad hand. Basilius, if you control another Evil Eye monster, first of all, can special summon itself to the field, right? So no matter what, it's a good card to have in hand. It's an extender. It's a level 3. Helps with your Cicada King, helps with your Machinix plays. Pretty dope. It can also, once per turn, send a Evil Eye spell or trap card from the deck to the graveyard, allowing you to send Gorgiano. Gorgonio can then search your deck for another card, and so starts a chain where you can normally, with just this card in hand and any discard fodder for this, you can end on a Gorgon equipped with Selene, as well as whatever back row you have, right? Which is not, again, it's not like perfect, but it's definitely pretty damn powerful, because you've got this Towers monster that will have some decent attack power behind it, that has a once per turn monster negate. So Basilius as a 1-card combo in a fallback plan can facilitate a lot, so do not sleep on this card. And lastly, we have the worst of the 3. We have the Catoblepus. Catoblepus basically will, it can make one of your Evil Eye spells or traps immune to destruction until the end of the next turn, which is kind of neat. It's primarily here because it can special summon itself from the graveyard, which is useful considering you've got a ton of cards that will send it to the graveyard, like your Gorgiano can discard it, your Evil Eyes Unleashed can send it, things like that. You'll typically only send this card after you've already sent Basiltris, or if you have opened up with Basiltris, you will send this card. So we only need one of it. It's not a good card to have in hand, so the less you see it, the better. But it is definitely nice to have an extra extender there, because you'll notice this card will be the difference between you ending on Surziel Pass or ending on Surziel Machinix Pass, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there. We've got Evil Eye Awakening, special summon an Evil Eye monster from hand or graveyard, or if you have the Evil Eye of Selene on the field, special summon it from deck. It's a neat card, nice search target if you've already got everything else. I wouldn't play more than one of it, it's fine. Evil Eyes Unleashed, this is the broken new support card. This card is insane. You send an Evil Eye monster and an Evil Eye spell or trap card from your deck to the graveyard as cost. Then you add an Evil Eye equip spell from your deck to your hand, which is absolutely insane. For sure, this card is incredible. It can also, as a quick effect. Whenever you link summon an Evil Eye monster, you can banish this from your graveyard to target an Evil Eye equip spell in your grave and equip it onto the monster that you just summoned. Now that means whenever you use the Basilitrus's effect during your opponent's turn to summon out one of your Evil Eye link monsters, you can actually equip it with the Eye of Selene from the graveyard, and that's very important because remember, all of your Evil Eye monsters gain their effects when equipped with the Eye of Selene. So being able to equip that on to a monster you summon during your opponent's turn is a vital part of the Basilitrus strategy. So absolutely mandatory at 3. This card is insane. We've got our equip spells. This is the Evil Eye of Selene. Of course, we've talked about this a ton. This card changes its name to become the Evil Eye of Selene so long as it's face up on the field. So this sort of does the same-ish job while on the field, but both have vastly different effects. The Evil Eye of Selene, so long as it's equipped to an Evil Eye monster, that monster cannot be destroyed by battle, card effects, and cannot be targeted with card effects, making it extremely difficult to get rid of, especially considering every time you activate the equipped monster's effect or activate another Evil Eye spell or trap card, you get to take 500 points of damage and then boost your monster's attack points by 500 as well, and that is a permanent boost. So basically the idea is Selene makes your monster very difficult to remove, and then continually boosts its attack power over and over, making it even tougher and eventually making it the most powerful monster in the field and allowing you to go for a game. And it doesn't even take much to get there, right? So Evil Eye of Selene, pretty damn amazing card for sure. It even has a recycling effect where you can, if it's in your graveyard, you can pay 1,000 life points, banish a different Evil Eye spell or trap from the graveyard, and then reset this card to the field, and it can be immediately activated. So this card is incredible, absolutely. Because it can recycle itself, you don't really need to play more than 2 of it, but if you wanted to play 3, you wouldn't be wrong for doing so. Now the Evil Eye of Gorgonio. So Gorgonio has a slightly different niche. So this card, as long as your life points are lower than your opponent's, and a lot of your cards cost you life points, so long as you're lower than your opponent, your monster gains attack equal to the difference. So that helps with the whole goal of Selene, of making your monster really difficult to get rid of, and then boosting it up and helping you go for game. Gorgonio helps a lot with that. Although what's most useful about this card is its second effect in the graveyard. You can banish this card from the graveyard and then discard any Evil Eye card to search your deck for an Evil Eye spell or trap. So that is what allows your Basilitrus to become like a 1-card combo, right? So if you wanted to play an additional copy of this, I wouldn't blame you. It's a really solid card. You could play both equip spells feasibly at 3 copies if you wished, and you would definitely not be wrong for doing so. Evil Eye Domain, the field spell. On activation, grab an Evil Eye monster from deck to hand. Pretty solid effect, being able to grab your Surziel. Once per turn during damage calculation, if your Evil Eye and their monster battles, if they attack you, both players take damage equal to what you originally would have taken. And if it's destroyed, you get to target an Evil Eye monster in grave and add it back to hand. So a few neat effects, but primarily here for that activation effect of searching for an Evil Eye monster, right? Because your deck doesn't have a ton of starters, so having an additional 3 copies of Surziel is a must-have, right? You have to play 3 of this. We've got Kaiser Colosseum, which is one of the win conditions of this version of the deck. So long as you control at least 1 monster, your opponent cannot make any play that would result in them having more monsters than you. So it basically just locks your opponent into having 1 monster, which, remember, think back to the win con. Selene and Gorgonio making your Surziel huge, making your Gorgon huge and unbeatable, making your Zerziel huge and unbeatable. So the plan is you have 1 monster that is absolutely a beast, and then you lock your opponent out of having any more than 1 monster. That's the idea. And lastly, we have Retribution, a searchable counter trap, negate a spell or trap card. Pretty awesome card just to have as a backup search target off of Gorgonio if everything goes according to plan. So yeah, absolutely. So there's the main deck. It's very customizable. You can do a lot from here. Although a lot of these cards are kind of core, you can mess around with your ratios according to what you yourself want to play. But this is pretty much standard practice. This is what you want to be playing. Whatever you stack on top of this is up to you. And then the extra deck. The extra deck, again, is largely up for customization. Most of it doesn't really see play because we are relying more heavily upon the Kaiser Colosseum strategy. But you do use the extra deck a little bit. Some of the more important cards are the Darius and Machinix package. I love this package so much. I talked about this in the previous video on this deck as well. Darius, summoned using any 2 of your level 3s, it doesn't matter. It's only here as a name for your Divisor King. This card will be summoned on top of your Darius using its own effect. And basically, once per chain, not once per turn, once per chain, it, when your opponent activates a monster effect on field, detach 2 materials to suck up your opponent's monster as Exceed material, which means you can do this twice. Because you're summoning on top of Darius, it's going to have 3 materials by default. So whenever you detach 2, you're going to go down to 1 material, then you steal their monster, now you're back up to 2. You can use it again. So you get to steal 2 of your opponent's monsters, and you can do it both on the 1 turn, which is absolutely incredible. Definitely one of the more powerful extra deck options you can play. But there are a few others. For example, Cicada King, a generic rank 3 that has a once per turn monster negate. It's a nice backup option. We have Zeus. If one of your monsters battles and you want to tag it out, by all means, Zeus is definitely a viable option. And the Nightmare, Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn are here just as generic targets. Cerberus pops a special summon monster, Phoenix pops back row, Unicorn spins a card back into the deck. IP Mask Arena, quick play link summon during your opponent's turn. You're like never going to use this card. I don't even know why this is only here, because I literally can't think of anything better to put here. You're never going to have so many monsters on your board free and ready to use that you can afford to go into a Mask Arena. It's simply not going to happen. So don't worry, if you don't have this card, don't worry about it. I would still recommend crafting it because it is an amazing card, but you're not going to use it in this deck. So don't break your back over Mask Arena. The Dark Charmer, again, just a generically useful card. This card's more prevalent, but that's mainly just because you can push into access code. And this is how down bad we were for space. We went in the Sprite Elf because we might summon it off of one of our other Link 2s. That's how much room we have. We can afford to play Sprite Elf. Right? So, you know, see how useless most of our extra deck is? You probably want to play a copy of Prosperity. To be honest, on top of all of this nonsense, you might want to play a copy of Prosperity, because you don't use most of this. Sprite Elf, again, not a card you're going to use ever. Access Code, not really a card you're going to use a lot of. You can summon it off of the Dark Charmer if you have like a broken board, or maybe it's turn 4, turn 5, and you have enough extenders in play where you can maybe go into it, by all means. But it's not going to be super common, and Goddess is a pipe dream. So that covers off most of the extra deck. Now, the ones we didn't talk about are the ones that actually matter. So the Exceed monsters, they're all pretty good. And then the only Link monsters you're going to use are these 2. Gorgon, Empress of the Evil-Eyed, and Zerziel, Ruler of the Evil-Eyed. So Gorgon primarily is here as a fallback option for Basilius. It's a decent Link too, where if it's equipped with Evil-Eye Selene, once per turn as a quick effect, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, but during the next standby phase, a monster that it points to gets destroyed, which can be a good thing. So Gorgon is solid. You're not usually going to go into it off of like just an organic play. It is almost always going to be off of a Basilius start, because you can't really go into anything else. I showed that play off at the beginning. We did get interrupted, but again, you can use your imagination to fill in the blanks. We were only like 1 step away from it. So yeah, Gorgon definitely, I would say at least one of is necessary specifically for that play. Because again, that play is going to put you into a position where you at least stand a chance of winning a game that you otherwise would have instantly lost. Right, so that is important. And then we got Zerziel. You do not need 2 copies of this card. I have not used 2 copies of this card. I just have them, and as I've already covered, most of the extra deck is garbage. So why not have a second one if you have it? This card, this is your actual sort of boss monster. If this card's Link Summon using something with 2600 or higher attack points, it gets 2 attacks every battle phase, which isn't that tough to do. Your Zerziel will normally get boosted up to 26 quite easily. It's only 2 procs of Selene, so it's pretty straightforward. If this card is equipped with the Evil-Eye Selene, quick effect, target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. During the next standby phase, something it points to gets negated. Pretty straightforward stuff. Just a quick play pop. A little bit more versatile than Zerziel, because this can only pop special summoned monsters, whereas this can pop anything, including back row. So this guy's just a little bit more versatile. The way in which you're going to use this guy is during your opponent's turn, you're going to summon out Basiltris, or you'll already have it on field, and Basiltris' effect will allow you to Link Summon during your opponent's turn using itself, and any other sort of monsters you control, including Evil Eye equip spells, which means you can use Selene or Gorgonio as monsters for a Link summon into the Link Free Zerziel, which is very simple because you'll normally have Zerziel equipped with at least one of these dorks, right? And then Basildris will turn itself and those two cards into the Link 3. And the Link 3, of course, only has its effect while equipped with the Eye of Selene. Well, that's when Unleashed comes in. Whenever you Link summon during your opponent's turn into the Link 3, this will banish itself from the grave to equip it with the Eye of Selene from the graveyard, making its effect live right away. So yeah, it's a pretty solid play. Again, you don't use it every single game, and because you play Kaiser Coliseum, you don't even really need to play it every single game. You can normally get away with just Zerziel, but it's definitely a very powerful option to have in your back pocket, for sure. And that's the deck. Again, not really a ton to talk about. If there's any sort of better options or cards that I'm missing when you're looking at this deck, by all means, feel free to let me know. I haven't reviewed the comments from the previous video yet because, like I said, I'm recording this one right afterwards, so I may already have gotten suggestions that I haven't put in this deck. If so, it's already pre-recorded, right? Don't kill the messenger. I'm just here. So yeah, that's the deck. Again, it is a ton of fun. It is definitely more competitive than people give it credit for. I was pleasantly surprised when playing it. I don't think it's not like tiered. It's barely rogue, but it's definitely a lot more powerful than people give it credit for. So love it. Love to see it. I'd love to see anybody else playing it as well. So by all means, and if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe, catch new videos as we post them every single day alongside our live streams and tournament coverage. So if you're interested in that, it's free. You might as well. Like the video if you got this far, because obviously you enjoyed something if you stayed till the end. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.